Even as the Security Cabinet was meeting to discuss post-war Gaza plans, the IDF was expanding ground operations in Khan Yunis, intending to reach and destroy the largest remaining terrorist strongholds. And ILTV's Steve Leibovich has more.
Day 97 of the war in Gaza, and the IDF is pressing ahead to reach its military objectives in central and southern Gaza. Even as the Security Cabinet was meeting to discuss post-war Gaza plans, the Army was expanding ground operations in Khan Yunis and its surrounding area, fighting Hamas deep within the southern Gaza city. The IDF hit over 150 Hamas targets in the south, intending to reach and destroy the largest remaining terrorist strongholds in and around Khan Yunis. In the past 24 hours alone, dozens of Hamas gunmen were killed during dense urban warfare with the 98th Division, and directed airstrikes killed 10 others. The IDF completed operations in southern Gaza's Chuza, on the outskirts of Khan Yunis, destroying the terror group's infrastructure in the area. In Magassi in central Gaza, IDF troops from the Golani Brigade directed airstrikes on numerous Hamas operatives and uncovered 15 tunnel shafts. During a raid on a Hamas site in the area, the IDF said soldiers found rocket launchers, rockets, drones, and explosives. IDF Chief of Staff Halevi was in Gaza and told troops to press ahead, and the next mission could be in Lebanon.
אחרי מה שעשיתם, אין כפר בלבנון, אין שס"ם בלבנון שאתם לא יכולים להיכנס ולפרק אותו. אנחנו נשים אתכם במקומות שצריך, אתם תעשו שם את מה שצריך, מלחמה ארוכה בצד השני, נצא עם תוצאות טובות.
Meanwhile, IDF intelligence shows that 2 Al Jazeera journalists targeted in an airstrike on Sunday in Rafah were members of terror organizations in the Gaza Strip. The strike was carried out after the IDF spotted a terror operative piloting a drone and hit the car they were in. Regarding plans for post-war Gaza, Prime Minister Netanyahu gave the direction.
Israel has no intention of permanently occupying Gaza or displacing its civilian population. Israel is fighting Hamas terrorists, not the Palestinian population. And we are doing so in full compliance with international law. Our goal is to rid Gaza of Hamas terrorists and free our hostages. Once this is achieved, Gaza can be demilitarized and de-radicalized, thereby creating a possibility for a better future for Israel and Palestinians alike.
They deny the kidnapping of our children, the murder of our grandchildren, the rape of our daughters. The new Nazis we face today will stop at nothing to destroy civilization as we know it. The World Jewish Congress was created exactly for these times like this, so every Jew can fall asleep at night knowing they are safe in their own home. We are a voice for the Jewish people everywhere. We are the World Jewish Congress.
And the biggest story of the day, Israel today faced accusations brought by South Africa at the UN's top court that it has committed genocidal acts during its war against Hamas in Gaza. The appeal to the International Court of Justice in The Hague demands that Israel immediately suspend its military operations in Gaza. And ILTV's Devo Klein has more.
Hearings opened today as South Africa lodged an urgent appeal to the International Court of Justice, the ICJ, to force Israel to immediately suspend its military operations in Gaza. That will not happen. Today, South Africa will present its case. Israel will present its case tomorrow. Then, judges will deliberate, and any recommendations could eventually reach the UN Security Council and face a U.S. veto.
Tomorrow, the State of Israel will appear before the International Court of Justice to dispel South Africa's absurd blood libel. We welcome Secretary Blinken's remarks that Pretoria's submission to the ICJ is meritless and, quote, particularly galling, given that those attacking Israel continue to openly call for the annihilation of Israel and mass murder of Jews. This despicable intervention to save the skin of the Hamas rapist regime is, as Secretary Blinken noted, also a distraction.
Robbed officials from both countries will go head-to-head in the Great Hall of Justice in the Peace Palace in The Hague, far from the devastation seen in Israel and Gaza since October 7th, the war started by the Hamas murderous onslaught. Officials in the Justice Ministry believe the ICJ could issue injunctions against Israel, but will not order a halt to the fighting in Gaza. These injunctions could include demanding Israel to allow more aid into Gaza, form an investigative panel, or allow Palestinians to return to their homes in northern Gaza.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
And joining us now on Israel's hearing in The Hague is human rights lawyer, author, filmmaker, and executive director of the Lawfare Project, Brook Goldstein. Brook, thank you for joining us today on this really complex day. They're meeting in The Hague really today. Cruel and ironic, especially after everything that happened here in Israel, the victim of the war crimes. Why is Israel even bothering to show up?
That is a really good question. I am just baffled why Israel would have decided that this is in its strategic interest. You know, wars are not won on the defense. And right now, Israel is fighting a war not just on the actual battlefield, but also a war in the lawfare arena. And this has been a war that's been going on for the past 20 years, where international legal systems are manipulated to undermine the basic right of Israel as a sovereign democratic country to self-defense. And I think the International Court of Justice, the petition that South Africa is bringing, is an act of absolute lawfare, and it is not in the interest of Israel to go before this court, to legitimize this court as though it has any say or any authority over what Israel can and cannot do to protect the lives of its citizens.
Definitely, and you know, South Africa wants to make it all about the things that happened after October 7th. We're seeing now on the ground in Gaza. Is there any talk about what happened on the day itself? Because as everyone remembers, October 6th, there was a ceasefire. Everything was quiet. What's the view on that over there?
Well, we heard in the opening arguments of the court, this actually has nothing to do with what happened on October the 7th. They're talking about 1948. They want to delegitimize Israel's basic right to exist as a Jewish state. And I want to emphasize the fact that this court, the International Court of Justice, is the legal arm of the United Nations. The United Nations is a democracy of totalitarian dictatorships that has absolutely no authority. Anybody knows that. And to take this legal arm and to pretend, while we're in the middle of the war, while Israeli soldiers, men and women, are risking their lives on the battlefield, what kind of message is Israel sending our IDF soldiers when they're asking for permission and they're, behaving as a defendant in a genocide trial, as though we need permission from the same court that issued an advisory opinion declaring that Israel's security barrier is a violation of international law? If the ICJ had its way, there would have been no wall, no barrier whatsoever for Hamas to break down and commit the atrocities it did on October the 7th.
Totally, and one of the craziest pictures that I saw today were of 4 hostages, the 4 girls, the soldiers that were released this week, sitting in front of the judges saying, really, what can I say? Because, obviously they can't talk and they silenced. Now, if the court rules against us, what's likely the ruling? I mean, what's supposed to happen for viewers who still don't know what's going to happen?
Look, this is a lose-lose situation. Even if Israel wins, it loses because it will have set a precedent that Israel is not a sovereign democracy that can engage in defensive military maneuvers to defend its citizens, that it will have to argue on the defense or ask for permission from a court made up of judges that have no authority over it.
Lebanese, German, right? I mean, a few.
These are countries that do not have their own impartial judiciary. Why is it that they stand trial over the Jewish state? Historically, the Jewish people have faced genocide after genocide, and nobody has come to our assistance. Nobody has helped us. We do not have to ask permission from anybody to defend our own citizens from genocidal terrorists.
That's a very strong message. South Africa, a country, no doubt, has a long history that could have taken them to court as well. How do they dare really standing there and talking about Israel?
It is absurd. It is just lunacy. I have no kind words for this. And it's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing. I don't know why the Netanyahu government decided that it was in its interests to participate in this show trial, because I don't think we have any chance at winning. I think the court is biased against Israel. Again, there's no due process. By the way, when they issued their advisory opinion declaring Israel's security barrier a violation of international law, the court refused to enter into evidence the very relevant fact that the security fence contributes to a decline in the loss of human lives. They refused to hear testimonies from victims of terrorism. And there's actually a wonderful ad right now circulating on Israeli TV showing that the hostages, the people who are being tortured and raped and cannot speak. They cannot testify before the court. The whole thing is a farce.
It's totally true, and I think that history repeats itself, like in the Holocaust now again. And thank you so much for joining us today. It's a lose-lose situation, as you said, but we have to hope. Thank you so much for joining us today. As Israel remains steadfast in achieving its mission to eradicate Hamas, it is beginning to think about Gaza the day after the war. As such, Israeli members of Knesset convened in a special discussion with ambassadors from around the world to discuss ideas and insights from the international community regarding the path forward. And ILTV's editor-in-chief, Idar Gravelazi, was at the discussion. Let's take a look at the report.
This is Lidar Gravelazi, and I'm here at the Knesset in Jerusalem, where we're going to attend a special session organized by members of Knesset Dani Danon and Ram Ben Barak from the opposition and coalition, who have brought together ambassadors from around the world to meet here at the Knesset and discuss the situation in Gaza and measures for the day after.
Once we achieve the goal of the war, we are open to listen to ideas from the international community and also to present our ideas. I presented a 5-point plan for the future of Gaza, which calls for the demilitarization of Gaza, a security zone, control of Israelis on the Rafah crossing, and supporting those who want to move out, voluntary immigration out of Gaza, and the restoration of Gaza. I'm sure we will hear more ideas today from the distinguished ambassadors, but they will have to realize that we have no intention to stay in Gaza in one hand, but at the same time, we will not allow Hamas to stay there and rebuild their forces. I think the main message that they will send to their capitals, that it will not be the same. Gaza will not be the same. After what happened to us, we cannot allow an entity of terror to be in our backyard, so we have to work together, Israel and the international community, to find a different future for Gaza. This side, there will be, on the Gazan side...
We want to achieve two things. First, we want to achieve that they will understand the problem of this war, what they done to Israel, how we feel surrounded by terror organization in the north, and not only in the north, in Gaza, of course, and to see what we can do in Gaza. Of course, we have a different view of how to solve the problem, but we need to solve this problem, and we need the country that the country will help us to do that, and that's why it's very important to speak with the ambassador.
During their opening remarks, ambassadors from some 40 countries welcomed the discussion and expressed their solidarity with Israel, calling to release the hostages. Security and safety were the top priorities raised, and numerous countries questioned how the region can ensure another terror group does not arise, and offered their assistance to ensure peace and security for the future.
After 31 years of work at the Holocaust Museum in Washington, is that nothing will change in the future in Gaza without education. And the first step should be re-educating the teachers, re-educating the professors, creating a new, because teaching hate and teaching the denial of dignity to a human being will go nowhere, like it happened until now.
This happens in a moment of ongoing atrocities, because what happened in the 7th of October is still going on with the hostages. They are kept in Gaza in conditions which are atrocious. So it is important also for all of us to be involved in this moment with this going on and thinking about the day after in Gaza. Of course, we have to think also about the present day in Gaza. We believe that the day after in Gaza will be the first day of a new era for Israel, for the relations between Israel and the Palestinians, to live in peace, safe, in a two-state solution, and for a new dimension also of the region, peaceful, where you can develop and also live together, and also for the Jews. A new era where the Jews can feel safe and free in Israel, but also they can feel safe and free everywhere else in the world, so to fight anti-Semitism.
And amen to that. And now the UN Security Council is demanding that Yemen's Houthi rebels immediately end attacks on ships in the Red Sea initiated after the start of the war in Gaza, and endorse the US-led task force that has been defending vessels. ILTV's Steve Leibovich has more.
The demand that the Houthis cease and desist attacks on Red Sea shipping came in a strongly worded Security Council resolution. It also demanded that the Houthis release the Galaxy Leader, a Japanese-owned carrier linked to an Israeli businessman that the group commandeered on November 19th, along with its 25-person crew. 11 members voted for the resolution and 4, including veto-wielding Russia and China, abstained. None voted against.
The threat to navigational rights and freedoms in the Red Sea is a global challenge that necessitates a global response. The basic principle of freedom of navigation is at stake, and the Houthis and anyone who enables them need to hear a clear message from this council. These attacks must stop.
This week, U.S. and British naval forces shot down 21 drones and missiles fired by Yemen-based Houthis toward international shipping lanes in the southern Red Sea. Britain's defense minister said it was the largest attack in the area by Houthis to date. There is growing anticipation that the U.S.-led coalition will launch an offensive strike against the Houthis. The Security Council resolution signaled international backing.
In a powerful show of unity, thousands of people gathered in the old city of Jerusalem for a mass prayer dedicated to the hostages in Gaza. With the plaza at full capacity, Chief Ashkenazi Rabbi David Lau led the assembly, joined by his Sephardic counterpart, Yitzhak Yosef. This unprecedented gathering was prompted by a joint call from both chief rabbis, urging the heavens for mercy on all Israel and the safety of the 136 hostages still held in captive by Hamas in Gaza. In the area leading to the plaza, activists for the hostages' release held up posters and banners with their pictures, including photos of Adar Goldin, Oron Shaul, Hisham al-Sayed, and Avera Mengistu, who have been held by Hamas for years. The prayer, occurring on the eve of the first day of the Hebrew calendar month of Shvat, featured repeated shofar blasts as part of the emergency response.
Experience the power of truth with ILTV News. If you're looking for quality content and captivating visuals, join our news community and become an integral part of our team as we embark on a mission to unveil the real Israel, dismantling the web of lies and misinformation that surround reporting on Israel. By subscribing to ILTV News, you will not only have access to the latest updates, but you will also amplify our message, creating a ripple effect that carries the truth far and wide. Subscribe today and help reshape the narrative. Available on the web, Android, and Apple.
And joining me now in studio is Shmulik Moskovich, board member and co-founder of Nechama and Hatzalah for Israel, the organization that has stepped up to the plate during these times of war. Nechama and Hatzalah for Israel are responsible for donating, packaging, and delivering food and supplies to soldiers and evacuated families. Shmulik, great having you here today. How are you doing?
Thank you very much for having me.
So really, it's our pleasure. The organization is really young, I understand. How did the idea really come to mind to start something like this? And how did you really get involved?
So it all started a few years ago when my mother passed away. And my mother was, for I think 30 or 40 years, a social worker in Bnei Brak. That was her life journey and work and goals. And after she passed away, me and my brother and my sister, by the way, my sister also a social worker, like continue her way, her legacy. And me and my brother thought together how to do it as well. So we come up and said that we want to open a non-profit organization. We called it Nechama and Hatzalah for Israel. Nechama, it's my mother originally name. Usually we called her, her name was Naomi, but Nechama is their birth name. And so we decided to open it. It took us a few years, everybody, you know, life happening. And 2.5 years ago, we opened it. And we actually launched it 6 months ago. Actually launched it with the first ambulance that we have. And then in the 7 October, the war broke.
And it all changed.
And it all changed. All what we thought that we want to do, it all changed. And the same morning that it happened, like, you know, I'm sitting with my family at home. And me and my brother, we thought what we can do. There's an old saying in Israel from Ben Gurion, the first prime minister, that he said that each soldier needs to see that the campaign, all the war is on his shoulders.
Wow.
So we thought, me and my brother are now in a reserves unit as well in the army. My brother is in Gaza now, and I'm located in the center. Okay. And we said, yeah, we are in the reserves, this is our duty, but maybe we can do more.
And I really want to talk to you about the numbers, because, you know, the numbers are really huge, and I have to read it from here. You know, I'm talking about 4,800 packaged meals delivered to over 11,400 soldiers and 2,300 evacuated families. What does your workforce really look like to deliver so many packages? I mean, how do you do it? It sounds really complex.
So, after a few days, we managed with our connection to get not an apartment, the house in Ramat Gan, and all the villa that was empty. And the owner says, come, we heard about you, come and you can use all the facility. They have like a yard and 2 floors of the house. And we open it over there, our distribution center. And we had a lot of volunteers, and we still have a lot of volunteers from Ramat Gan, from the area, come. And a lot of the community over there also donate a lot of food and clothes. And we managed to get support from all around the world, from Brazil to New York to Miami, LA, Taiwan even, from the government of Taiwan to donate us and to provide us the resource that we can buy and purchase a lot of food and a lot of gift cards to bring to people. And I just came from our distribution center, and we met 2 families, one from Netivot and the other one from Sderot, that came, and that was one of our things that we do, a customized things that we call them. We ask them what you need, and they say we need a pot for cooking our meal for dinner on Saturday evening, like the fish on Saturday, you know,
yes.
It's additional.
People want home food because they're eating like hotel food for so long. Shmulik, I really want to ask you, if someone like me or any other person really wants to help you and donate and help you guys with everything you need, how do you do it right now?
So, first of all, I want to say thank you for all the support that we already have. And just continue to support us, if it's by send us food or packages or provide resource like money or funds. It really helps us. We can purchase things and then deliver it to soldiers. Now we have a big plan for Kitot Kanenut. Kitot Kanenut is the civilian volunteers in the village. The local people that want to defend their home, and we help them with a lot of gear, the rifle and the ammunition they get from the police.
Or I assume we have the website, right? And people can go and see what you're doing. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. Cloudy skies and light rain expected tonight around the country, with lows of around 11 degrees Celsius or 52 degrees Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow, more clouds and light rain, with temperatures reaching highs of 16 degrees Celsius or 61 degrees Fahrenheit, with a slight rise in temperatures expected alongside rain in the north, set to last throughout the weekend. And that's all for today's news. For more updates from Israel on all your devices, check out our ILTV channel, subscribe to our ILTV newsletter, and of course, do not forget to check out our new and improved website, ILTV.tv, with all of the latest news from the heart of the State of Israel. I'm Amit Harari. Have a good weekend, and thank you so much for watching.